One of the really lovely aspects of living the holy life is that we can feel very free, ideally, to be able to move around, at least after a few years of training. We have the opportunity to practice in all different kinds of situations, different kinds of places, with different kinds of people. And this is a great blessing. Having said, we get the chance to practice with many kinds of people. In a way, that's true. And in another way, there's a kind of similarity to us all. There's a kind of commonality. There are many things that we share, aren't there, as human beings. And this is very helpful, really, because we can all understand the challenges in life and the trajectory of our life. You know, all of us share. You know, we're all brothers and sisters in birth, in aging, if we live long enough, often in sickness, experiences of unhealth, being diseased, being unwell in different ways, and also we all have to face death at the end of the life. And this is the common denominator for all of us, and we can really appreciate, you know, the ways in which we struggle and suffer, and the ways in which we can also support each other through these challenges. And it's interesting to understand from the Buddha's teaching how, you know, these life experiences that I've just described aren't necessarily a cause of suffering for us. Like, they don't have to be a cause of suffering for us. It's quite, maybe that can sound like a bit of a tall order. You know, how do we not suffer when we get sick, when we have to struggle with old age, and when we have to face death? But truly, you know, the Buddha was really saying that there is suffering in this world, but these things are not really necessarily a source of dukkha for us, a source of pain and anguish for us. Actually, it's possible for us to recognize through practice and through understanding the teachings of the Buddha, really through our experience of these teachings, we can actually recognize that this journey, this life journey that we're all on, is actually is part of nature. You know, we're part of nature, and as it all things in nature, all dhammas arise and pass. So too, you know, every aspect of our experience is arising and passing, arising, manifesting, lasting for some time, some period of time, and then fading away, ceasing. And this is completely fine. This is natural, and we are, yes, you know, part of Mother Earth. We're nothing but these bodies are made up of earth, water, fire, and air, just like everything else on the planet, every other material thing on this planet, and constant recycling, constant interchange going on. Not at all separate. We're not at all separate from nature. We are nature. We're one more manifestation in the great kaleidoscope of forms coming and going, arising and passing. Quite remarkable. And the suffering then that we do experience comes from something else. It's not from this reality, you know, of being part of all things. No, it comes from desire, as the Buddha said, second noble truth. the cause of suffering actually is desire. And it's like in the Satipatthāna Sutta, he pointed out that what we really need to do as practitioners is to put aside all the covetousness and grief for the world. Again, it can feel like tall order, but actually we can do this in our meditation practice through the training that we give ourselves, the willingness to sit, to be present, to feel what we feel, not to be trying to control reality, not trying to get away from unpleasant feelings, not trying to grasp pleasant feelings. Or rather, what we experience is the grasping and the pushing away, aversion and desire. So we can experience these things as they arise for us. When we meditate, we can observe these things arising and passing, and we find ourselves able to kind of separate out, get some space around these tendencies to push and pull, don't we? And we start to recognize we don't have to follow those inclinations. They're almost like knee-jerk responses a lot of the time, aren't they? You know, something pleasant arises, I just want it. I want more. I want to hold on to it. This is natural in a way. It's our programming. Something unpleasant, I want to push it away. I want to turn away from it. I want to ignore it. Get rid of it ASAP. Again, this is our conditioning. But we learn, don't we? As we meditate, we start to work with these energies in such a way that we're observing them. We're simply noting them. We're with them, and we're not paying attention. We're not giving energy to the reactions around experience, but rather barely just allowing for bare awareness to manifest. Actually, in the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha gave some wonderful instructions for us, didn't he? Like how to work with energies of wanting and not wanting, and all the other kinds of experience we have. Nowadays it seems to me that, it appears that a lot of people are struggling with feelings of anxiety, feelings of real, even fear about the way things seem to be kind of breaking apart. The givens are no longer givens. Things like having a climate that you can assume is going to be fairly steady over years, decades, centuries. This is no longer the case for us, is it? So we're facing a very uncertain future, and many, many issues related to the sheer number of people, human beings on the planet. We're sort of over-consuming, and many, many species, other species, are struggling to keep going, to survive, and this is very painful for us. So to feel anxiety, to feel grief, is not at all unusual nowadays, and maybe it was always actually quite. There have perhaps always been things to worry about. It's hard not to feel that at this point in time we have a lot more to worry about. Who knows really, but it would seem challenging at this time. So we can, considering the advice of the Buddha in Satipatthana Sutta, how to meditate, how to work with all the different mind states, feelings, emotions that we may be experiencing, from the most subtle sort of irritation, not wanting, anxiety, right the way through to rage, anger, fear, grief, despair, So the whole gamut of our emotional experiences, all of it, everything we experience, everything that we even can say exists for us, can be brought into our meditation practice, of course. And the instructions the Buddha has given can be applied to any and every state of mind, emotion, feeling, any kind of thought formations whatsoever. So this is extremely helpful. So how to put away covetousness and grief for the world and all these other, you could say, defilements, you could say obscurations, you could say negative states of mind, harmful emotions or painful states. How to put them aside. So the Buddha said, we can observe our experience. We're sitting, we're meditating. Of course, whatever's really present for us, whatever's an issue for us right now, whatever's obsessing the mind will be right there when we sit and meditate. Here it is. It comes up for us. This is so valuable because we immediately start to get to know ourselves. What's going on here? Rather, what's going on here? What is the truth right here and now? And so we'll be confronted, won't we? When we sit and meditate, we're immediately faced with whatever's troubling us, whatever's playing on our mind, whatever state of mind we're carrying. And so the Buddha said, take, apply energy here to this situation. Come to this situation with your full atape, sampajano, satima. Bring in, atape, tapas is like burning. Bring in a kind of ardent energy to the situation. Bring your attention here to whatever's manifesting as we sit, as we walk, as we meditate. Sampajana, with a clear comprehension, a clear seeing, with a clear understanding of what we're doing. Satima, bringing mindfulness to bear. And so first of all, this instruction for me is so helpful. It's like whatever's going on, can I be present for it? Can I really attend? Can I put energy into that attention? And, bring up a sense of curiosity, a sense of interest, this quality which is an enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhamma. So just to bring all the energy and attention to bear, this is the beginning for us. And, it's really interesting to me how it is that even when I'm deeply distressed, really angry, very unhappy, afraid, if I can have this sense of paying attention with energy, with real curiosity, opening my mind to what's to be known in this present moment, then almost already there's a sense of kind of a separation. It's like there is an observer and there is that which is being observed, and they're not the same thing. So already I'm not completely immersed in these emotions anymore, these recurrent thoughts, these feelings. I'm no longer that. I'm no longer drowning in these things. I'm not overwhelmed anymore. No, there's an observing that's happening. And as soon as that begins, as soon as we can apply ourselves in this way, we're already freeing up, aren't we? We've already change the attitude in a really significant way. And this is the way of freedom. This is the way to begin to understand, not that, I'm not that. To disidentify, to let go of the sense of me and mine around whatever's going on. And of course, the other thing we start to notice is that as we start to pay attention, energetically, dynamic, sense of really a kind of vitality to our attention. Here I am. I'm really watching this, whatever is arising. We start to notice, things arise and things last. And then if I'm steady and I'm just observing, just allowing things to be what they are, then things will pass. Things arise and pass. There's a changing, there's an impermanence, to all of these experiences. And again, a taste of freedom starts to come. It's like, this is not defining me. This is not permanent. How can it be? And so the Buddha gave in Satipatthāna Sutta, there's this constant refrain in relation to physical experience, to the breath awareness, to feelings in the body, also to the state of mind, the mood or the emotions that are playing out for us, moving through us, emotion, and also the thoughts, the thoughts, ideas, memories, whatever thinking is happening for us, whatever ideas and thoughts are popping up into the mind as we meditate, in relation to all of these satipatthanas, these resorts for mindfulness. The Buddha said again and again this refrain, ardently, with clear seeing, apply mindfulness. And he said there are three ways that we can observe the phenomena that are being experienced right now. There's the way of seeing the arising and passing, so actually bringing the lens of anicca, so seeing with the thought, the concept of impermanence in the mind. So to notice, in short, notice, is this experience staying the same, or is this experience moving and changing? Can I see change? Can I experience impermanence? Can I notice that there's an arising and passing going on for this experience, within this experience? This is one way that we can really apply wisdom to the experience we're having. Another way is to notice internal and external, these energies within and also around us. So, this is a kind of teaching that's been interpreted in different ways. But one way of considering how to relate to this advice is to consider meditating. I'm really observing what's happening inside, a sense of inside here, this body, this mind. But we can be bearing in mind, that these experience I'm having, whatever's playing out here, there's a very good chance that others will be having a similar experience, or others will have had or will have similar experiences. And this is very helpful. It's like there's nothing unique here. This mind and body, if we have feelings of shame arising for us, if we have feelings of helplessness, vulnerability, if we have feelings, anxiety, dread, all of these kinds of feelings are really very unpleasant for us. And also often we can have a sense of being alone in this, a kind of isolating quality. And it can be very helpful to consider that, if I can feel this shame, fear, dread, then I can be pretty certain that this is something that other beings also have to work with. And indeed, when we're not formally meditating and we're going about our everyday lives, we can remember this instruction to look around and really observe, what is happening for others. And one of the other ways I find this really helpful is to just notice that, when we're meditating, we start to notice, don't we, there's a kind of stream of awareness and experience. It's like a process. Things are constantly changing. It's really actually not possible to own, control, or find a sense of self in any of these experiences. If we try and seek and investigate and see whether there's anything I can really hold on to and make mine, we find that's really fascinatingly not possible for us. And so the sense comes gradually over time, doesn't it, that there's a process going on here. It's really quite impersonal, it's impermanent, and it's quite unsatisfactory in many ways. Because there's no permanence to anything that I can experience in this realm, and because I can't make anything mine or rely on anything, find any stability in this experience, then it's inherently unsatisfactory. It's just not. It's not good enough. It's not. This is not something to take as a refuge in any way. This experience of mind and body, human experience of real experience, genuine experience of what's going on. And so dukkha. We become aware of dukkha. And we can be sure then, coming back to the teaching about inside and outside, we can recognize that if this is my experience when I meditate, a dawning realization that there's just this kind of process going on, a flow of energy, constantly changing, ungraspable, not me and mine, then when I look around me, and I see all these other human beings in the room, or in my family, or at work, or in the street, all these other beings, human beings like me, if this is the truth for me when I sit and observe what's actually going on, then it will also be the truth for them, that there's nobody actually out there. It's like I can't really know this other person. They're also a constantly changing stream or process or evolution that's going on. How amazing, I don't know myself. How can I know myself when I meditate and I realize that, well, it's so dynamic, it's so impersonal, and it's so impermanent. How can I say that I know myself? And so then how can I really feel that I can know anybody else? So when I'm trying to hold on to an idea about somebody else or an idea about myself, what I'm actually doing then is I'm just operating from some kind of past image, some kind of idea that's history. It's history already. I can be pretty sure that I can't really apply concepts from the past and really rely upon them here and now in relation to myself, in relation to other people. And so we start to, open our hearts, open our minds to the uncertainty of it all, the really it's really difficult to pinpoint, to pigeonhole categorize, to feel that we've got anybody else. We don't really have a handle on them, and we don't really have a handle on this one either. So to consider this guidance from Buddha to observe what's happening inside and to observe also what's happening outside can really open up the doors for us and help us to see more clearly what's real and then relate to others and also to ourselves in a more genuine, authentic and very helpful way, which is to recognize that we don't really know anyone else, we don't really know ourselves, and maybe then we would be wise, we would be kind of dwelling in Dhamma, in reality, if we allow ourselves to see all our acquaintances, friends, family, and so on with kind of fresh gaze, an innocent, open, receptive gaze that, doesn't create them, doesn't assume anything about the other. And maybe we can also apply this attitude to ourselves. No assumptions. When it comes to coming back to negative emotions, difficult mind states, covetousness and grief for the world, anxiety, fear, dread, shame, anger, and so all of these experiences, we tend often, especially if we feel overwhelmed by difficult emotions, to feel that, they're us. They're us. They are us, and they have a sense around them of being lasting, defining me. I'm like this. I'm a depressed person. I'm an angry person. I'm scared. And actually, again, with this clear understanding that develops for us as we meditate, we can recognize that actually, no, whatever I'm experiencing, whatever difficult emotions might be up for me right now, present right now, I can be very sure, that they're changing. They don't last, they can't last, and they're not me. They're just like, the weather. Very apparent when present. When they're present, this is how it is. It's pouring with rain, that's really apparent. But we know that all the different weather situations that we can experience, the really obvious aspects of the weather is that it's changing. It'll keep changing, and it's the same, isn't it, with our emotional life, emotional experiences. Just to remember that, just to be aware, even as we're in the midst of some kind of storm, we can just bring in that understanding. Remember, this too is changing. This too will not last. And this can be really helpful for us to put aside all the difficult emotions, not to ignore them, not to neglect them, not to disrespect them, not to suppress them. No, to let them be, but we can really let things be, can't we, when we're not overwhelmed, because we have that sense of anicca, anatta, dukkha, these three characteristics. So this is here now. Let's see how long it lasts. Is it me? Is it mine? No, of course not. It's past. Something's passing through. There's a process, and it's inherently unsatisfactory. So in this way, we can apply this way of clear seeing, sampajanya. See things clearly, see things for what they are, and almost as part of that understanding, we develop equanimity. Equanimity's there. We're not reacting, we're observing. And the other instruction the Buddha gave, there was the seeing the arising and passing away of phenomena, seeing the phenomena inside and outside, ajata bahira, and also to another instruction the Buddha gave again and again in the Satipatthāna Sutta in relation to all our experience is to also we can apply simply observe. So I find this quite helpful because oftentimes that's all that's required. Just to be here, in the body, feeling what is, observing the breath. It's enough. It's enough. It can seem sometimes too simple. If it's so simple, there must be something else that I should be doing. No, it's enough just to be present with whatever is apparent to us. That is mindfulness. And we are able to allow then the process of purification of the heart to happen because we've made space, announced the world, we've put aside grief and covetousness for the world. If there's really not a kind of raging storm going on, but we can be aware of certain thoughts, emotions, feelings in the body, be aware of the breath, bare awareness is enough. It reminds me of a sutta where the Buddha is describing how to work with the mind with some beautiful similes. It's in a Majjhima Nikaya, this sutta. I can't remember the number, I'm afraid. It's one of the cow herding suttas. The Buddha said, when, the mind is reasonably peaceful, or there's no, we're not being kind of overwhelmed by our experience, we're to be simply aware of what's happening for us. He said it's a bit like a cowherder at the end of the harvesting season, when all the crops have been gathered in, and there's no danger that the cattle, the livestock will destroy, trample, or consume the crops of other farmers. Then the cowherder can kind of relax, the cattle can wander around and he just occasionally has to keep an eye on them. But basically it's possible just to have this quality of bare awareness. On the other hand, the Buddha said, say during the harvesting time, when the crops are growing, before the harvest, when the crops are growing, the cattle herder has to keep a very close eye on the cattle to keep them away from the crops, and so constantly has to kind of direct them, hit them with sticks, shout at them, I don't know, get the dogs out, whatever, to herd them away from the growing crops. Has to be very attentive, has to be really vigilant. In the same way, when we're experiencing very strong sensations, emotions, obsessive thoughts, or very negative thoughts or mind states, this is a time to be quite alert, and bring in other ways of practicing. So to consider anicca, bring that in, or to bring in, we're coping with a lot of negative mind states, bring in metta, bring in loving kindness. So to help to continue our work of letting go, observing reality as it is, and allowing ourselves to realize and recognize that things are still changing and there is still no sense of self here. However compelling this experience might be, we can just bring in extra resources, kindness, patience, more samadhi, bring in more focus, bring the attention to a point, come back to the body, just focusing on the breath, or one aspect even of the breath or the body. These ways we can help ourselves stay steady with whatever we're experiencing. And then when things calm down again, like at the end of the harvest, we can relax, we can sit back and allow simply bare awareness, with a sense of, always a sense of energy, a sense of knowing what we're doing, but we can simply be present then. So yeah, these are some meditation practice, and particularly wanting to speak a little bit about how to work with emotions that can be very overwhelming for us, can be very challenging for us, such as anxiety or grief, sadness or despair. These are the ways the Buddha gave us to come back to the simplicity of the moment. And it's almost as if, for me, it's almost as if we can kind of break things up, So as I said, these mind states, these emotional states can feel really kind of sticky for us. And, we can feel there's just no way of dealing with this. There's no way out of this. And my sense is, that we can work with anything. We can work with any kind of mind state or emotion if we allow ourselves to remember these simple teachings, because simply to come back to the body and feel the body. When I have anxiety arising or present in the mind, in the heart, what's actually happening in the body? Can I pay attention to the feeling, say in the belly, that feeling of tremble, shake, quaking, butterflies, whatever it may be, tension, a tightening of the belly? Can I pay attention to the fluttering in the chest, the tightness in the throat, the clenching of the jaw? Whatever it may be for us, when we have a strong emotion, there will always be some kind of physical manifestation of that. And so to turn our attention, having noted there's a strong emotion on, there's a powerful sense of fear in the mind. Can I come back to the body? Can I allow myself to start to feel what's actually going on here in the physical realm for me? And it can be very difficult to do this, of course, because it's actually as if we're coming closer to the issue. When we come to the body, it's almost like we're digging deep and finding the root of the issue. It's very, very valuable to do this, but it can be very challenging. But this is to face dukkha, to face the struggle, the suffering, and thereby to begin to understand it. So this is really the work for us, isn't it? And we can see how any mind state, any emotional state can be not neglected, not avoided by turning our attention to the body. We're actually opening it up. We're actually coming to the heart of the matter. And so to feel what's going on in the body, and just keep breathing and allow a kind of gradual softening as we pay attention to almost like the root of the issue, the trauma in the body, the fear, the agitation, the anxiety, the grief. These are kind of labels that we give to emotional states. But when we come into the body, it's almost like we go deeper, and the labels can even fall away, and we can be surprised sometimes by the change that happens in the state of the emotion. So oftentimes there'll be layers of different kinds of feelings to be discovered. You know what I mean? Like there'll be fear, and under that fear will be anger, and under that anger will be despair, and so on. You know, it's a very, very amazing journey to actually explore the roots of our emotional storms, our emotional challenges. And so coming into the body and allowing the whole thing to open up, layer by layer, piece by piece, it is as if we're digging, investigating, you know, examining. And slowly but surely, it's like we open up, we enable all the emotions, all the obsessions to breathe, to live, to reveal themselves. And in this process, we learn, we gain wisdom. We also gain equanimity, because we learn to stay steady, to be patient, to tolerate. You know, the what can seem intolerable becomes tolerable for us. And so wisdom arises, and peace slowly but surely begin to manifest as these emotions do what they inevitably will always do, which is to arise and pass, find their peace, find their cessation. So I would say with anything, any challenging feeling, thought, emotion that we may have to contend with over time, let's remember, you know, the simple teachings, how to observe reality, how to come home, how to use, how to benefit from body awareness, breath awareness, and to be able to really understand what's actually going on in the whole organism, the kind of holistic understanding of what's happening for us. And then these insights again and again reveal for us the reality that all these difficult emotions, mind states, obsessions are arising and passing. And they are, as here, we'll see them elsewhere also, and understand that they're not me, they're not mine, they're not unique, they're not to be held on to, because why would you want to hold on to anything that's so ephemeral, that's so impersonal? And so slowly but surely our vision, our understanding of reality becomes clearer, and we start to recognize these characteristics of all things: change, impersonal, anicca, anatta, and dukkha, unsatisfactory. And as we move through, you know, these experiences in our practice, we start to feel a bit lighter. The burden starts to be put down bit by bit, where we're kind of the unreal and moving towards the real. It's like the scales are falling from our eyes. And to be living in the real world is to be light, to be free, to be peaceful, to be compassionate. You know, these qualities grow for us. And it's such an incredible journey. We really can't know, you know, from one step to the next. It's like stepping into the unknown. But it's a courageous journey, you know. It's a warrior's journey, really. Warrior as in WARR. Some people think I'm talking about somebody who worries a lot. No, it's a warrior's journey, like get your shield, you know, of mindfulness. Get your sword of wisdom and strive on, you know, from light to greater light, or even from darkness to light. This is the way the journey is taking us. And we're slowly but surely, uprooting all the sources of suffering, all the desire that's so ephemeral. We stop wanting to follow desire, all the aversion in the same way. It's just pain for us. So we want to let go of that. And all the source of confusion, delusion, this unclear ways of seeing permanence in what's ephemeral, seeing self in what is, it's impossible to make anything me and mine in this realm. So to start to see more and more clearly, how wonderful. Let's not be overwhelmed by any mind state, by any emotional state, by any kind of ideas and fears and worries we may have about this world. No, let's just practice and see through them and move forward to greater and greater understanding, greater and greater freedom, and ultimately to complete liberation from all suffering. Ewa.